While the patriarchy remains strong in Western countries like the US and Europe, it is a different beast in South Korea. The 4B movement reflects a shift away from traditional gender roles. It's a response to a culture that pressures women into roles such as marriage, childbirth, dating, and sex. This movement fights against South Korea's patriarchal society, which often limits women's choices and oppresses them. The movement has led to what's called a birth strike and marriage strike, where fewer people are having kids or getting married. This significant decline in fertility rates is linked to the 4B movement, where the B's stand for the Korean words bihan, no marriage, bichulsun, no childbirth, biyeoni, no dating, and biseksu, no sex. This has contributed to South Korea having the lowest fertility rate globally, with women having less than one child on average. Economic factors are also at play here. Raising children in South Korea is expensive, with high costs for childcare and housing. Job prospects are tough, and many people work long hours. But there are gender-specific issues too. Women face discrimination at work, and there's a prevalent belief that feminists are to blame for the low birth rate. Gender-based violence in relationships is a significant concern, making it hard for women to feel safe. Traditional gender roles put a lot of pressure on women. They're expected to handle most household responsibilities and childcare, which can be overwhelming. Gender-based violence further complicates things, with many women fearing violent reactions if they try to end a relationship. If a South Korean woman managed to end a relationship without facing violence, it is considered a safe breakup. So the 4B movement is about challenging these norms. It's about saying no to societal expectations that limit women's choices and opportunities. By resisting traditional roles, women are pushing for a society where they're treated as equals and where they have the freedom to make their own decisions about relationships, marriage, and motherhood. Many Korean women face barriers in the workforce due to discrimination and traditional gender roles. The low engagement of women in the labor force is worsened by the challenges pregnant women and mothers encounter. Discrimination in hiring, influenced by the expectation that women should stay home, is common. Additionally, the gender pay gap and family responsibilities make it hard for mothers to return to work. The government's handling of gender equality has made things worse. The president of South Korea, Yoon Suk-yeol, used men's frustrations in his political campaign, blaming feminism for the low birth rate while denying gender inequality in South Korea. His intention was to get rid of the Ministry of Gender Equality. This sparked protests from feminists, urging the government to support women's rights. Further, the government removed gender equality from school textbooks. These actions deepen the divide and fuel movements like the birth strike and marriage strike. South Korea's Ministry of Gender Equality has faced criticism since President Yoon appointed Kim Hyun-suk as its minister. Feminists and women's rights activists accuse her of ignoring gender-based violence and misogyny, highlighting deep-rooted misogyny in Korean society. The 4B movement emerged as a response, with women refusing relationships with men to protest societal inequality. Concerns about South Korea's declining birth rates are significant. Without enough young people, the country's population is aging rapidly. By 2065, over half could be over 65, impacting the economy and military. This trend isn't unique to South Korea. It's part of a global feminist movement. In China, the Four No's movement is shrinking the population, and Japan faces a similar issue due to women avoiding marriage and childbirth. These movements show how women worldwide are challenging traditional views on marriage and having children. The 4B movement did not emerge overnight. Its roots can be traced back to online forums where Korean women began sharing their experiences of gender inequality and societal pressures. These online spaces provided a safe haven for women to express their frustrations and connect with others who shared their views. As these online communities grew, so did their influence. What began as isolated conversations evolved into a collective movement with a clear message. Korean women were no longer willing to accept the status quo. Social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube became instrumental in spreading the movement's message and mobilizing support. The 4B movement soon transitioned from the digital realm to the streets. Women began organizing protests and demonstrations, demanding equal rights and an end to gender-based discrimination. The movement's success in bridging the gap between the online and offline worlds has been crucial to its growth and impact. To understand the significance of the 4B movement, it is essential to recognize the deeply ingrained patriarchal values that have long shaped Korean society. Confucianism, a philosophy that emphasizes hierarchy and filial piety, has had a profound influence on Korean culture for centuries. Within this framework, women have traditionally been relegated to subordinate roles, expected to prioritize the needs of their families over their own aspirations. Korean women have long faced pressure to marry young, have children, and dedicate themselves to domestic duties. The 4B movement can be seen as a direct response to this long-standing patriarchy. It is a rejection of the notion that women's worth is solely determined by their roles as wives and mothers. The movement asserts that women are capable of achieving success and fulfillment outside of traditional gender roles and deserve equal opportunities to pursue their dreams. The 4B movement's impact on Korean society has been profound, challenging traditional notions of womanhood and prompting a reevaluation of gender roles. By rejecting the societal expectation that women must marry and have children, the movement has opened up new possibilities for women to define their own identities and pursue their own aspirations. Women are no longer seen as solely defined by their marital or parental status. The movement has also had a significant impact on the workplace. As more women choose to prioritize their careers, they are breaking down barriers and challenging gender stereotypes in traditionally male-dominated fields. The 4B movement has contributed to a growing awareness of the need for equal pay, better childcare options, and policies that support women in the workforce. By rejecting the pressure to engage in romantic relationships, women are challenging the traditional narratives surrounding love and marriage. This has led to a greater acceptance of diverse relationship models and a recognition that happiness and fulfillment can be found outside of conventional partnerships. While the 4B movement is often defined by its namesake principles, its goals and aspirations extend far beyond these four tenets. At its core, the movement is about achieving true gender equality in all aspects of Korean society. This includes dismantling patriarchal structures, challenging gender stereotypes, and creating a society where women have equal opportunities and are treated with respect. The movement seeks to address a wide range of issues, including the gender pay gap, lack of representation in leadership positions, and societal pressure on women to conform to unrealistic beauty standards. It advocates for policies that support working mothers, promote women's health and well-being, and protect women from gender-based violence and discrimination. The movement's ultimate goal is to create a society where everyone, regardless of gender, has the opportunity to reach their full potential. By challenging traditional gender roles and expectations, the movement is paving the way for a more inclusive and progressive Korea. The 4B movement has exposed a generational divide in South Korea, highlighting the contrasting values and perspectives between older and younger generations. While many older Koreans hold more traditional views on gender roles and family structures, younger generations are increasingly embracing more progressive and individualistic values. This clash of values is evident in the reactions to the 4B movement. While the movement has garnered significant support, particularly among younger women, it has also faced backlash from those who view it as a threat to traditional Korean values. Some critics argue that the movement's rejection of marriage and childbirth undermines the family unit, which is considered a cornerstone of Korean society. However, proponents of the 4B movement argue that it is not about rejecting family altogether, but rather redefining what family means in the 21st century. The generational divide surrounding the 4B movement reflects a broader shift in values occurring in South Korea and other developed nations. The 4B movement has not gone unnoticed on the global stage. International media outlets have picked up on the movement's message, shining a spotlight on the struggles and triumphs of Korean women. This international attention has helped to raise awareness about gender inequality in South Korea and sparked conversations about feminism and women's rights around the world. The 4B movement has resonated with people across cultures, highlighting the universality of women's experiences with patriarchy and discrimination. This international solidarity has been crucial in amplifying the movement's message and putting pressure on the Korean government to address gender inequality. The movement's international recognition has also had an impact on South Korea's global image. The 4B movement's ability to capture global attention speaks to the power of collective action and the importance of amplifying marginalized voices. Despite its growing influence and international recognition, the 4B movement has not been without its critics and controversies. As with any social movement that challenges deeply held beliefs, it has faced resistance from those who feel threatened by its message. Some of the most common criticisms leveled against the movement include accusations of being too radical, too westernized, and out of touch with traditional Korean values. Critics argue that the movement's focus on individual aspirations comes at the expense of societal harmony and stability. Despite these criticisms, the 4B movement has continued to gain momentum, demonstrating its resilience and adaptability. The movement has responded to criticisms by engaging in dialogue, addressing misconceptions, and emphasizing that its goals are not about tearing down Korean society, but rather about creating a more equitable and just future for all. Despite the challenges and criticisms it has faced, the 4B movement has had an undeniable and lasting impact on Korean society. Its influence can be seen in various aspects of Korean life, from shifting attitudes towards gender roles to tangible policy changes. The movement has sparked a national conversation about gender equality, forcing Korean society to confront uncomfortable truths and reevaluate long-held beliefs. One of the most significant impacts of the 4B movement has been the increased visibility and awareness of gender inequality in South Korea. The movement has brought to light the systemic barriers that women face in education, employment, and society at large. This increased awareness has led to greater scrutiny of discriminatory practices and a growing demand for change. The Korean government has implemented measures to address the gender pay gap, provide better support for working mothers, and combat gender-based violence. What do you think about the 4B movement in South Korea? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. See you in the next one. Goodbye.